Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now, funnily enough, I was actually thinking about doing a little update video about some of my thoughts on the Albon-Gasly swap, kind of a on reflection type thing. But a story has surfaced over the last day or so which has kind of given me an excuse to do it. Not that I usually need an excuse to ramble about F1, but anyway, what is the story? Well, Helmut Marko has been speaking to the media about the decision to drop Pierre Gasly to Toro Rosso and to replace him with Alexander Albon. Marko was talking about Gasly's pre-season crashes and how they affected his performances this season, saying that Gasly wasn't able to erase those errors and that he had not been able to show the speed he had demonstrated with Toro Rosso, or even his lack of hesitation when going for an overtake. I don't think many will argue too much about the fact that Gasly was just not quick enough over those first 12 races, but here's the bit that may well divide you. Marko went on to say that although Daniil Kvyat is fast and has become a much more complete driver, he actually believes that Albon is the better driver. He also added that Albon's performance in 2019 was unexpected and that he has been impressed with his progress from race to race. Marko did also confirm, or I guess reiterate, that Albon's contract is only for the final 9 races of this season and that the decision about who will be driving alongside Max Verstappen next season has not been taken yet. As I say, that last part is just a reiteration of what we already knew based on the team statement last Monday. So Albon is, in Helmut Marko's opinion anyway, better than Kvyat. It is a big statement that could very easily come back to bite him quite hard on the backside, but then when has that ever bothered Helmut Marko? I can't lie, I like many felt initially that Daniil Kvyat was the way to go and that perhaps it was a little bit too soon for Albon. I mean, he has only taken part in 12 F1 races, so it did, and I suppose still does to a point, feel like a bit of a gamble. I was also pretty open about the fact that I was concerned Red Bull were risking screwing up another young driver's career by promoting him far too quickly. And whilst I do still have some of those concerns, because let's face it, we have no idea which way this might go, I've got to admit that on reflection, I am feeling much more confident for him going forward. Let me explain, kind of as best I can. I'm sure this will be way too drawn out, but there have been comparisons drawn between both Gasly's and Kvyat's promotions to Red Bull and how it ended for them. But Albon's case is a little bit different. When Kvyat moved to Red Bull back in 2015, he was taking the seat of Sebastian Vettel, a 4-time world champion. He may well also have been expecting a long-term stay with the main team. Gasly, he made the step up to replace the highly rated and obviously hugely talented Daniel Ricciardo, who without doubt had absolutely delivered during his time with the team, including beating Vettel in 2014, and Pierre was also probably expecting a long stay, certainly that he would get a full season at the very least. So both Kvyat and Gasly had big shoes to fill and could be forgiven for expecting that their deals were for a longer period of time than they actually were. However, Albon is stepping up to replace a driver who has struggled to find his form and has been consistently well off the pace, not just of his teammate but of those around him as well. Simple fact is, he hasn't delivered. Throw into that the fact that Albon is under no illusions that he's on any sort of long-term deal or multi-year deal or anything like that. It's been made clear to him from day one, and again reiterated by Marko in that news story, that he is only initially in for the final 9 races of 2019, and that the team will be assessing their options, and if he doesn't perform well enough, it is highly likely that he already knows he will find himself back in a Toro Rosso for 2020. Do you see the point I'm trying to make? Basically, Albon hasn't got huge boots to fill and knows that this could just be a temporary seat for now. So even if he did struggle, I don't think it jeopardises his career quite as much as it did for Kvyat and as I believe it could for Gasly. I suppose actually a good way to put it is to say that Albon is on a trial period. Pretty much like, you have this job for now, we can't make you any promises about taking it on a full-time basis, but if you meet all of our expectations, this could become full-time. If not, we'll have to let you go. Almost like a Christmas job, except it's not Christmas. Anyway, moving on. The other reason why I feel a bit different about it all now is because Kvyat has had his chance. Yeah, it was all the way back in 2015 and he's obviously changed since then, if nothing else in the fact that he has certainly matured while still keeping hold of his raw speed. But the team know what he can do, which is something else Marko confirmed. They've had him in the main Red Bull team before. He basically spent 3 seasons with Toro Rosso in total, all of 2014, most of 2016 and 3/4 of 2017, and they can see what he's been doing this year. So they're not going to feel the urgent need to assess him further. Plus, I'm saying it again, I just don't think Marko wants to swallow his pride for a second time. Do I think that he genuinely believes that Albon is the better driver? I'm not so sure. I mean, he will have all the data and so can make a fully informed decision, but I still think part of this comes down to him not wanting to lose face. That's nothing against Albon and what he's achieved this season, by the way. I just don't trust much of what comes out of Helmut Marko's mouth. But ultimately, I do think it's fair that Albon gets his chance, a chance to show what he can do at the sharp end of the grid against the best. See how he handles the pressure and indeed how he matches up to Max Verstappen. I suppose the question is then, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section as well, what does he need to do in order to keep that seat for next season? Now, obviously, I don't think Red Bull will be expecting him to beat Max or even match Max, but they will want to see just how close he can get to him. I guess his immediate goal after getting to grips with the car, of course, is to be closer to Verstappen than Gasly was. According to racefans.net, Pierre was on average just over 3/10 off his teammate in qualifying. So if Albon could be somewhere around 2, maybe even as much as 2.5 off on average come the end of the season, that could well be pretty much spot on, but anything within 3/10 would be beating Pierre. I still, by the way, think Max's raw speed and talent is worth around 2/10 on its own, so that has to be taken into account. I guess as well, if he can help the team to take second in the Constructors by picking up consistent top-end points, that could also see him sitting pretty for 2020. And if you're wondering, by the way, Albon is just 47 points behind Gasly in the standings, so he could well end up finishing ahead of him despite getting 3 fewer races in that car. And that is something else which might help him keep that seat for next season, beating Gasly's points total. So long story short, if he wants to be Verstappen's teammate next year, he just needs to be closer to him than Gasly was, and will probably need to show that he can consistently deliver top 6 points. All in all though, having taken a bit of time to think about it and take a look back at some of the races this season and some of Albon's stats, I really do think that he will be okay whichever way it goes. Even if he does fail miserably, Toro Rosso know how he can perform, and so I fully expect he will end up back in that car if it all goes wrong. On Helmut Marko's claims quickly, do I think Albon is better than Kvyat? Well, if I pretend to be a team boss for a minute, when it comes to assessing and planning for the future, Albon is definitely the better option. But personally, I think it's way too early to say for sure that Albon is a better driver than Kvyat. Again, he's been in F1 for just 12 races. He has, of course, shown some very good speed and has been delivering for Toro Rosso. And whichever driver you think is better, there is no denying that Albon's potential is clear. And do you know what? I've just got a gut feeling that he will do enough in his final 9 races to keep that seat for 2020. That is it then for this video, but behind the eye at the top right of the screen, I've put another poll for you guys to vote on. Who do you think is the better driver, Kvyat or Albon? It's a tough call. Also though, don't forget that you can let me know your thoughts on all of this down in the comment section. Now, I will be back soon with more content as ever, but I just want to give you all a quick heads up. I will be away for more or less a week from this Thursday, so although there is content scheduled to go out, I'm not going to be around much to read your comments and all of that sort of thing, but I will catch up when I get back. In the meantime though, don't forget that you can follow me over on social media, and all of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.